like to call to order this 12/7/2023 meeting of the Centreville Town Council. We will start as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. So please remain standing after the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now review minutes from past meetings. We have the November 16th, 2023 meeting minutes in our packet. Do any council members have any changes or additions to those?
I do have a change, if I may. On page 2, new business, A, the fourth bullet point, my motion, my intention was in that center sentence there that on the opposite side of Little Kidwell, that it would be resident-only parking.
How are we going to enforce or know who are, and resident of town, resident of that house, resident of what?
That's the intention.
Yeah, I didn't.
If we can sign it, we'll see what happens.
I disagree with making parking for just that residence. I don't think I realized that's what you were trying to do.
Yeah, I didn't
Problem
realize
is,
it. I
for
didn't
that
realize
particular
it did.
resident, there's a fire hydrant in front of the house that precludes any ability to legally park in front of the house. And so the only available place for curb parking is on the side.
And I have a mailbox and a neighbor that parks in front of my house every day. I mean, we could do this.
Can't help that.
Right. I just, I did not realize that was the intent of your motion. Hyper-focused parking for one particular resident feels not appropriate. It's a town street. Anyone can park on it.
Residents only is for residents, as opposed to whether it's YMCA visitors or whether it's school kids
But residents of
parking off-site.
what?
Residents of the town.
So if they're going to the Y and they're a resident of the town, they can park there? And are we going to have parking permits or something?
Nope, just a sign.
I did not recognize that as the intent.
I did not either. Right.
So to
I
me,
mean,
I don't-
we might consider that.
I don't know that
Right.
that's a minutes correction so much
Right.
as
A substantive
we got to
correction.
talk about this again
All right.
issue.
Yes.
Are we talking about it now or later in
I
the
think we have
agenda?
to do it later in old business.
All right, very good.
Any other changes or additions to the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any-
Abstain, please.
Okay. Great. Now we have a closed session statement from earlier this evening. The town council met in closed session on Thursday, December 7th, 2023 at 5:35 PM at the Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, second floor meeting room to discuss personnel and to discuss an investigative proceeding on actual or possible criminal conduct in accordance with the Maryland Open Meetings Act. 5 members of the town council voted to close the session. The authority to close the session is found in section 3305 of the general provisions article. The town council discussed the following topics: personnel. We discussed communication performance with several employees. Also discussed an investigative proceeding. We discussed the status of a criminal investigation. There were no actions taken. The following members and staff were present: Ashley H. Kaiser, President; Eric B. Johnson, Jr., Vice President; Daniel B. Worth, Jeffrey D. Keel, and Jim A. Beecham, members; Sharon Van Emberg, Town Attorney; Carolyn Brinkley, Acting Town Manager; Chief Robert Hobbs, Lieutenant Charles Larimore, and Sergeant Foster of the Centreville Police Department. The meeting adjourned at 6:42 PM. Okay. Now we have one appearance. Council Vice President Johnson do we have Ms. Pirro here for?
No.
No? Okay. We do not have that appearance. Do you want to go ahead and do this now?
We certainly can.
Is that okay to move that up? Okay, so we have an award proclamation that Council Vice President Johnson will present.
Just push that chair over to me.
All right, I'd like to invite
Second Lieutenant Nathan Mellinger to come forward as I read this proclamation. And while it's signed by the council president and myself, this was endorsed by the entire council. So I had the honor of being introduced to this young man through one of the CAP leadership members, a fellow veteran, fellow Air Force gentleman who is just amazing. And I'm going to talk about him another time because this is about Lieutenant Mellinger. But I presented this first at a recent CAP Civil Air Patrol drill, and I cannot tell you how impressed I was with not only you, but all of your unit members. There are times when we watch the news or we see things in our community where we think, gosh, I really worry about tomorrow. And when I met you and I learned about your history and I got to meet the other members of your unit, I slept a lot better that night. We've got some amazing youth right here in our community. You correct me if I'm wrong, but the Civil Air Patrol that's based in Easton really covers the whole eastern shore part of Delaware, is that correct?
Cover a large amount of it, but there are other squadrons up and down the East Coast.
Okay.
East.
But it's a pretty big area, and this young man happens to be a Centreville resident, and he won the prestigious Billy Mitchell Award, Brigadier General Billy Mitchell Award. This is a time-honored Air Force tradition, and as a veteran Air Force officer, Billy Mitchell represents somebody to all of us that was a pioneer in air power, the transition that went from Army Air Corps to the Air Force being a standalone service. And so it's no small feat to win this award. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. I'm going to present this to you again. So this is the second time he's getting it, but we wanted to do it here in Centreville, not just in Easton. So, and then what we'll do is if the council's okay with it, we'll have everybody come forward for a picture, and we'll invite your parents to come up to be part of that. So, and then you're welcome to stick around, or you can excuse yourselves with no judgment. All right, Cadet Second Lieutenant Nathan Mellinger, Brigadier General Billy Mitchell Award proclamation. Whereas since Civil Air Patrol's formation during the early days of World War II, this vigilant organization of citizen airmen has been committed to mobilize the nation's civilian aviation resources for national service. And whereas as a total force partner and auxiliary of the U.S. Air Force, its more than 64,000 members selflessly devote their time, energy, and expertise toward the well-being of their communities while also promoting aviation and related fields through aerospace, STEM education, and helping shape future leaders through CAP's cadet program. And whereas CAP's Brigadier General Billy Mitchell Award honors a fearless pilot whose patriotism, foresight, and tenacity surpassed the ridicule he faced. And whereas the Mitchell Award is a significant milestone in CAP's cadet program recognizing sustained excellence in all four areas of cadet life: leadership, aerospace, fitness, and character. And whereas cadets receiving the Mitchell Award must have passed comprehensive examinations on leadership and aerospace topics and have completed a week-long encampment immersing them in a challenging core values and STEM environment. And whereas only 15% of cadets in CAP's cadet program have received this award, and Cadet Second Lieutenant Nathan Andrew Mellinger is the 75,565th recipient since its establishment in 1964. And whereas Nathan Mellinger is a resident of the town of Centreville, Maryland, and now, therefore, we, the town of Centreville, do hereby recognize Cadet Second Lieutenant Nathan Mellinger for this significant achievement, which reflects great credit upon himself, his family, and our historic town. In witness hereof, the Town Council of Centreville has signed this 30th day of December, 2023. Congratulations. All right, I'd like to invite council and parents to come forward if we can get a quick picture. Yeah, please clap. He deserves it. Why don't you guys get to the other side of him, and then we'll flank you. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Okay, now we have our first citizens forum. Citizens are requested to keep their comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any citizens who wish to address the council at this time? Okay. Don't all rush up here at once.
Jamie, come on up.
Yeah, I know, I asked her if she's
Every
ready.
time.
All right, moving on in old business, we just have the installation of crosswalks, just as an update. Using highway user revenues, the crosswalks that were approved at a previous council meeting were installed today, actually. So there are crosswalks as you head from Kennard to the Y, which we hope help a little bit with the pedestrian situation, because I believe the road to the Y opens tomorrow, or did it open today?
It will be open by tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's open today.
Wasn't open the last time I looked out there, but it'll be open tomorrow. So just ask everyone, as you always should around town, to exercise caution when you drive through our town streets. All right, in new business, first thing we have is a resolution, Resolution 12-2023, school zone speed limit reduction. So along the same vein, some additional ways that we can mitigate some of the safety challenges that we know exist in multiple neighborhoods around town. We talked at the last meeting that state law allows us to lower the speed limit in school zones on town streets only during school hours or operating hours of the school. I forget how it's worded. And this resolution would allow us to do that for the 2 schools that we have that ability. The other schools are located on state roads or county roads. I don't know which it is. We only have the ability to do it around Centreville Elementary and Kennard Elementary to lower the speed limit to 15 during school hours. And so that's what this seeks to do. School hours can be defined broadly as when the school is in use. And so after-school programs and other activities that students are utilizing. So that's what this does. If anyone has any questions. We know we've had significant outreach from both the communities around both elementary schools. I know the police department and Councilperson Johnson had worked previously to try to mitigate the issue around Centreville Elementary. Hopefully a lowering of the speed limit. I think we're willing to try whatever to make the town safer. And so, any questions or discussion on that?
It has my full support.
It's a resolution, so we can move it tonight if we wish. Okay, do we have a motion to approve Resolution 12-2023?
I'd like to make that motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote since it is a resolution. Councilmember Beecham?
Yes.
Council Vice President Johnson?
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Worth?
Yes.
Councilmember Keel?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. The next thing we have is sponsored by Councilperson Keel. This is a lead and copper inventory grant. Exciting. Are you presenting this, or is a member of town staff coming to present?
Tanya.
All right, Tanya, come on up. Jeff looks like a deer in the headlights.
Good evening. I feel like I have to introduce myself because I haven't met everyone, had the pleasure. So my name is Tanya Wright. I work in the finance department. My wheelhouse is the grants. So I'm here today to ask for, requesting for approval for the lead and copper inventory grant and also the 120 water. It's a solution program. We're seeking approval from the town council to apply for the lead and copper line inventory grant and also the 120 program. And this, unfortunately, we applied last year, but we did not receive any funding. So we're in the process of making sure that we can score higher this year so we can possibly have funding, because the caveat is that the federal government made this mandated. So in order to be compliant, we have until October of 2024. So that is our request for this grant and the 120 water program.
I appreciate you presenting this. We've talked a lot in here about wanting to know sort of what we're asking other entities for money for. Councilperson Keel is the sponsor of this. Anything you want to add, or?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
It speaks for itself.
Yes.
I think we can do this by consensus, because it's just, so I'm supportive of it, and any,
No objection
have
here.
consensus there?
Good.
Excellent
Awesome.
work.
All right,
Excellent
onward.
work.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great having you here. Okay. Now we have a slideshow, so we know who's up. But holiday committee update from Council Vice President Johnson, and it is the first night of Hanukkah, so happy Hanukkah.
Yes, let me echo the happy Hanukkah, and just, if you haven't figured it out, Christmas, the holidays are my very favorite time of year, so jumping in on what was the created festivities and beautification team's Holiday Committee was such an easy choice for me, and so I do have a couple slides, and I think you're going to be
Like the
pleased.
holly on the,
Yeah, we had to add the holly to the slide. All right, so just talk about three key areas, the key projects that we focused on within the Holiday Committee. I have some photos and pictures of the flyers. There's folks here in the room I know that may not be on Facebook, and maybe haven't been to every end of our town to see some of the updated decorations. So just wanted to provide some visuals of that, and for folks that might be dialing in from home, and then just to kind of provide the budget update, where we do have a variance. The council, as you all may recall, we had $5,000 that we reallocated from the fireworks, and $1,000 of that went to the Halloween festival that was so overwhelmingly successful, and then $4,000 for the Holiday Committee. But I'm gonna get to that. All right, so the key projects, we have the comprehensive community-wide calendar that I think out of everything we've done is probably the one item for which we received the most overwhelming positive feedback. And I really would like to thank our town manager, because I went to her, and I want to say we talked before you were the town manager, because Carolyn does a lot of updates to our town website. And we said, you know what, on Facebook and other social media, you can't really have an integrative document with hyperlinks in the document. We have a picture of the calendar, but what we'd really like to do is have a town link below that you can click on, not only see the calendar, but then all the details for each of the events that won't fit on the calendar. And when I asked Carolyn about that, I was like, you know, it would be perfect is if we have the calendar and you click on an actual event within the calendar and it goes to a separate website, all the bells and whistles. Well, I went back to her, now in her position as acting town manager, and said, would really like to still do the website, but I'm going to let you off the hook. Let's not do all the bells and whistles this year. You got a lot on your plate as our town manager, but I just have to say, said we're going to only submit one version, and as luck would have it, everybody got so excited about this thing. And then when you hear from our local pastors and ministers saying, hey, I know you said this was the last one, but is there any way you could add one more thing? Real hard to say no to somebody that's got a direct line to God. So that's just where my head was at. So I just want to thank Carolyn publicly for being so flexible and so dedicated to just the holidays. She's done such a great job with the parade for so many years. So thank you. The Enhance and Utilize Santa House, which I got to do a shout out to our Department of Public Works. For them, anybody that's actually been in that in previous years, the outside looked relatively decent. You walked inside, you felt like you were in a shed. And, you know, that's not what we really wanted. So our council president and the rest of us really said we want to see a priority around really cleaning that up, some cosmetic improvements. The house decorating contest, which I'm going to invite Mrs. Johnson to come forward so that when we get to that, she can answer any questions that folks may have, and then also about some exciting news about Santa Claus. So continuing on the list, the town menorah and Hanukkah celebration.
if I can just stop you for a second, there's a lot of ways to spell Hanukkah, but that's not one of them.
So I'm going to blame my Microsoft application for not catching that.
One and two Ks.
But I will take responsibility for the fact that these are my slides. So, but what that did, here was my strategic objective, if you'll believe my lie for a second, is this allowed us to spend even more time on this topic.
Yeah.
Because this is the first time we have had an official town menorah, and the celebration that our council president has put forth. It's going to be amazing, and I'm going to have her talk about that when we get there. Festival of Lights and Music, more better holiday decorations. It was about 2 years ago we got slaughtered on social media for our Charlie Brown decorations, the telephone pole mounted lights where there were a lot of bulbs out. And so those haven't gone back up, and we're going to do better and better. And finally, the townwide theme of heroes. So the comprehensive calendar, if you haven't seen it, looks like this. Everything in red were kind of national or international dates that people tend to celebrate, recognize. In green are sort of the standard holidays: Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. And then all of the events listed in all caps were things that are happening in Centreville. We did make the exception of including Churchill Theater's production of Christmas Carol. And I will tell you all that after publishing this, Beth Molaski, the county's PIO, and I have both been asked if there's any chance that we would do a version of this for the whole county. And I have a real hard time saying no, because I'm real excited about the holidays. But this was tough to pull off, and so many people helped. So, but we'll see what happens next year. Projects: Enhanced and Utilize Santa House. You'll see the view from just outside the Santa House in the evening. We have a really nice lit up North Pole post for letters to Santa. I just want to repeat, it's not on here, that we have asked anybody that submits a letter to Santa, so please pay attention to this. If you're at home and your children have not yet written their letters or you're getting ready to drop them off, please put your return address and your cell phone number on there. Santa Claus is going to draw one of these envelopes, and on Christmas Eve, we are going to alert the child that is selected to be Santa's helper will win a $100 Visa gift card. And those that have addresses, Santa's going to be sending a letter back to all of the kids that wrote letters. So you see two of our children that have been already. I just want to thank Jamie for just putting this together. She reached out to, I got this wrong last time and she had to correct me. I said Santa plural. We obviously don't have more than one Santa. We have a Santa, and he just looks a little different sometimes. But anyway, she coordinated all that personally, and we do have an update, and that is, first of all, on the slide you see all the way to the right the different dates. So this Friday, we advertised it from 6 to 8 p.m., and then the following two Saturdays, we have from 12 to 2 p.m. We wanted to make sure that Santa wasn't in the same place.
Isn't Santa in the parade?
Yes, so here's the angle there. Santa will be available from 4 to 8 p.m. There will be a space of time that Santa will have to excuse himself from the Santa house so that he can get into the parade. And then after the parade passes, he'll be able to get back in the house. So Jamie's very good about making sure I was thinking about that. So thank you. Anything you want to add about the Santas or?
No, just that he'll be here Friday night, 4 to 8. It was going to originally be 4 to 6, but we decided to see if he would stay till 8 since the parade. And then just the next two Saturdays, 12 to 2. And then make sure you get your letters out so we can see who wins the contest, get Santa to give him a gift card.
And a rumor has it that Buddy the Elf will be, if the child that is selected to be Santa's helper for the $100 gift card, if the parents are available on Christmas Eve, Buddy the Elf will be dropping off and it might be me. I can't confirm or deny, but we did get a Buddy the Elf costume. Anyway, I digress. House decorating contest. Jamie has also been in charge of that. How many entries do we have so far?
8.
Not as many as we'd hoped, but this is the first year that we've done this at this level. You see on
Haven't
the,
gotten around to entering mine yet.
Okay.
see, I was going to say, I
My
hope that's
email
one of
address
them.
is on the flyer, so.
So plenty of time to still get your nomination in or
I think
registration
these
in.
prizes ought to be Shop Centerville gift cards in the future, but
I totally agree. Totally agree. In fact, there's a possibility that we could use those gift cards to purchase the candidates before even awarding them. So let me work on that with Carol.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Anything else you want to add? My eyes are not as good as maybe yours are, Jamie. So the top 10 that are identified, that'll happen on the 15th, right?
Yes, the 15th will identify the top 10. And we would like to put those addresses, not the names, just the addresses on Facebook so people can go and see the houses, so we can enjoy that town-wide. Unfortunately, we just did town limits this year, so there were a couple people that wanted to do it that lived outside of town. Maybe next year we'll think about doing that, but for this year, it's just town limits.
And I think folks can appreciate the fact that with a small committee, there's a lot of people that live in a zip code that says 21617, so that could get real interesting. So we'll see, but it's something to look at. Thank you so much for your help on that. Jamie and the Holiday Committee also have been helpful in what was our Festival of Lights and Music. This is something that we have actually done. When I was a teenager, there was a Festival of Lights and Music that occurred in front of the courthouse. So from the 29th of November through December 3rd, minus the parade rain date, we will have musical entertainment come back for the night of the Christmas parade. So after the parade, stick around to see Santa, and also stick around for some holiday music in the courtyard. And I think the courtyard looks really nice this year. We want to thank the Parks Advisory Board and anybody else that was involved in helping to decorate the boxwoods with white lights. We did add the reindeer this year on either side of Queen Anne, and we think it looks really classy for our historic downtown.
that photo is beautiful.
I was the photographer, so
Great job.
as if. All right, better, more decorations. It's a start. I'm sure somebody out there, one of our keyboard warriors, will say that we could have done a lot more this year, and we thank you for your interesting perspective. But what I will say in the meantime is we have historically had our 4 gingerbread men at the southern entrance to town on 213, just before Dunkin' Donuts and our new Taco Bell that's very quickly coming to shape. We were able to add the arch, the green and red, with some twinkling lights. We've got a lot of really positive feedback about that. To the right, you see the northern entrance to Centreville. where we have the glass Christmas trees and matching gifts, along with some white and blue lights at Centreville PD. I want to thank Sergeant Foster with Centreville Police Department for helping me when I showed up like a thief in the night and said, I'm here to put up decorations without any coordination with anyone. And so I don't know if this gets him in trouble with his leadership who are here in the room tonight, but I will say that this would not have happened without him helping me get access to the electric. And so, thank you. Chief did say before the meeting that he and the department have gotten a lot of really positive feedback. So we didn't have to spend a lot to do this, as you'll see in the budget momentarily. Our council president and others have been so involved in really taking to the wharf, excuse me for my inability to speak tonight, the wharf to a whole nother level. We have these 3 beautiful pavilions. We have a great view of the Corsica River, our boardwalk. There are lights that our Department of Public Works has traditionally put up around the fence line. Those aren't in this shot, but they look wonderful too. What we were able to do was add a colored Christmas tree, a colored light-lit Christmas tree on either side of the middle pavilion, and then we have colored floodlights for each of the pavilions, so you see the green and red. So very simple, didn't cost a lot of money, but if you live at that end of town, and if you don't, please drive through, take a look, and I think you'll see that it's really special. So actually, let me just go back and add one thought. So for anybody out there that's critical of, well, why didn't you do something at the Millstream Park? So our power there was cut off by Delmarva Power. We have a contract in place with Chuck's Electric, I believe it is. They just haven't given us a date to fix it. Something happened down there, not worth getting into right now, but one of the things that occurred to me, and I had a conversation with Janelle, our program manager, I got her title right for the first time, I always call her project manager, about in the new year, not right now, they got a lot on their plates, but work with Public Works to identify key locations in town where we might want to have decorations in the future, or a lit sign. And when I say sign, I don't mean digital sign, because I'm going to really get our president animated here if I say that, but just I think about as you come in the northern end of town and the police department's on your left, there's that hill right there and that comes to a V, and we have signage that we put up for different events. We don't have electric there, but when we've put our speed cameras out, we work with Delmarva Power, they drop a line and a meter, so we're going to talk about a couple key places that we might want to do that. I'll bring that back to the council. But this year, I just want to stress the reason these locations were selected was because we had access to electricity. So, and they are all on timers, and they are all 100% LED lights. We're all green and red. But just had to go there. Got to get one joke in. Townwide theme of heroes. Our troops and other organizations that did such a phenomenal job with what is our annual tree decorating contest. And just for our folks listening in, does anybody happen to know how long we've been doing that? Isn't it like 20 years maybe by now? But it's a long time, more than a decade, I think.
Maybe 10?
We're going to go with 2009.
Oh.
Okay. Just want to thank Kara, our Planning Commission chair, who knows the date. So this is a tradition, and I think people really appreciate it when you can drive along Lawyers Row. If you haven't done that, please do so. Speaking of heroes,
Harry's going to kill you.
so I did not warn Council
say their
President.
prayers.
Yeah, I may not be around, Chief. You might need to do a body investigation, found body.
First night of Hanukkah, you got him in
Yeah,
the
so Jamie, I just want to say goodbye. It's been a nice journey. We almost made 25 years. But I did want to recognize, in all seriousness, our theme is heroes, and I did get slaughtered on social media when I first released it because of the grammatic incorrectness, and I'm trying to make sure I say that it was incorrect in a grammatically correct way, so hopefully it was bad. But we do have a hero. Harry Kaiser does a lot. He and his wife, our council president, and my wife and I and others have really worked hard on First Friday and some other things. But I'm just going to read this because I took liberty.
That's not. People can read.
But the first line, I just want everybody to know that this was the night before the Christmas parade. Please take a look. He did a great job. We just want to recognize him as one of our heroes. I also would like to recognize, I have purchased a bunch of these Energizer bunnies, if the camera can get back on me for a second.
We can all see it.
So the Energizer bunny, I think our current generation of youth probably has no idea what that is, but most of us my age know who the Energizer bunny is. It keeps going and going. So tonight we want to recognize two other heroes. One is our town manager, Carolyn Brinkley, our acting town manager. She has done such a phenomenal job. She doesn't say no to anything that we ask, and she follows through on everything that we ask. So I'm going to pass this down rather than making it a huge spectacle, but I want you to put that on your desk.
I thought I was going to have my picture like Gary up on the.
Please give her a round of applause. The other Energizer Bunny Award goes to our acting Public Works Director, Gary Phillips, and his department. They have been unstoppable, and with our Public Works managers interim being out, have stepped up and done just a phenomenal job in his absence, and especially with the holiday decorations and everything. I kept saying, if I get on your nerves or I'm doing too much, just tell me to go home. Give me my hat. And they haven't done it yet. Maybe they're planning to, but anyway, we'll give this to him in person. And the last thing, so just to kind of do a recap on the budget, we do have a variance. I worked with Carolyn and our finance manager, Karen Luffman, to ask if we had access to some funding to cover the delta. But I just wanted to summarize very quickly. So our decorations and prizes were close to $4,000. And in the scheme of things and how much feedback we've gotten, I feel like we paid virtually nothing to do some pretty exciting things in some of our key locations in town. And so when we think about what we could do in the future, I don't think we're talking about a lot. And what I just want to invite this council to do is, as we go through our next budget cycle, is to make a consideration for some additional funding to continue to improve our decorations. Services, we pay just a little bit of money to each of our entertainers for the Festival of Lights and Music. Our Santa Clauses, you see, so $800 and $550 respectively, for a total of $1,350. We did some Facebook promotion around some of our ads or posts to include the calendar, $250. Costumes, we did buy a Buddy the Elf costume. I won't hold on to that, but it will belong to the town. But yes, I will be wearing that for the Santa visits and as I judge the parade tomorrow night. So that's one more reason to come to the Christmas parade. So it'll be fun. Events, rental of equipment for Toys for Tots. Our Toys for Tots recipients, when they receive toys, have typically done that in the cold, and it's just not a very respectful way, I think, to hand out toys. So we help with the tent and some other things. And I want to thank Public Works. I want to thank our town manager for coordinating with our Toys for Tots program leaders. They needed a place in Centreville where they could stage gifts and actually go through them in a heated environment, climate controlled, rather than all the folks that offered them a storage unit where they would have to do that in the bitter cold. And so on the first floor of our wharf building, that's where that's been taking place. So we've had a very big part to play in improving our decorations, improving our events, our services, Santa Claus, and the ability to give out toys to our kids that need them. So just want to thank the council for the support in this. Carolyn did identify a fund, so for the difference that's between the $4,000 that we officially allocated and then what we've come through. So that's all I have. I know that was a long presentation, but thank you very much.
And I'll just talk about the Hanukkah event.
Yes, please.
While we're on the holiday subject. I know all the hullabaloo on Facebook, we ruined Christmas, so maybe Hanukkah can be the elixir that cures the holidays for some of you. But we do have a menorah lighting event Saturday at 4:30 p.m. I think it's going to be bigger than the council vice president or I anticipated, but thankfully the rabbi from the synagogue in Easton is going to come, and so Harry will not have to read the candle box in his Santa hat for the blessing, as was my original plan, should I not be able to find someone who actually knew it. But we will light the menorah. We will learn how to play dreidel. A teacher from the community is reading a children's book of the story of Hanukkah. So if you celebrate Hanukkah, come out and celebrate. If you're just interested in learning more about Hanukkah, we would love to have more of our neighbors there.
And we didn't plan it this way, but obviously there's some pretty significant events that happen on the world stage that just make me feel so much better about our decision to have an official town menorah this year and to really think about and recognize our Jewish community in this time of celebrating faith, family, friends, all those good things. So.
Yes, and I heard Chestertown also has a menorah for the first time.
See,
so,
moving on up.
Great things. All right. If there's no other new business, we'll move on to correspondence.
The only correspondence you have in here is and this just arrived, I don't know, a day or two ago, is it was addressed to the whole council, Goodwill Fire Company's annual recognition and awards banquet. So if you are available and would like to go, you can let us know and we can RSVP for.
Awesome. All right. Reports of boards and commissions, Maryland Municipal League.
Town Manager Brinkley circulated something from MML earlier today, and that's about all we have to report is the fight for transportation funding.
Council of Governments.
No report. Last meeting got canceled, so just waiting for the next one.
January, and January's meeting will be the tax differential.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Economic Development?
Economic Development. So Pat Fox, who's a member of our Planning Commission, who also has a pretty extensive background in economic development, has been seated on the the county's Economic Development Commission. Gosh, I cannot talk tonight. The EDC, and is doing a great job there representing Centreville. It's a good fit and helps us have an enhanced level of advocacy there. I've talked about CREED, which stands for Centreville Reaching for Economic Development Enterprise. That is the overarching group under which Festivities and Beautification Team falls. They now have a nonprofit status. We're putting together, and anybody out there interested, if the council wants to nominate folks, that members of the business community, we will be forming the board for CREED in early January, so there'll be more to come on that, and that concludes my report.
All right. Park Advisory Board, we did not meet this month, so I do not have a report. Planning Commission.
The Planning Commission met yesterday at work session to finish the comprehensive plan. There were a few typographical errors in the draft that's been posted on the town website, and a few map boundaries, but nothing substantial. So and then, of course, I am also especially proud of a table they put together of that generates the predicted population, water, and wastewater needs of the infill areas and the growth areas in the that surround the town. Remind everyone there's a public hearing next Thursday to approve hopefully approve the comprehensive plan.
While we're on that, is the council planning any other business or only the public hearing?
So I was going to bring this up in roundtable. We are likely to be in receipt of GTI's memo on their mitigation plan between now and then. So we may want to discuss that then.
Okay.
I don't think we need like a whole big meeting, but I just think if we get that memo, I know a lot of people are anxious to hear what that says. We shouldn't hang on to it for several weeks.
Do we want a presentation of some sort about the comprehensive plan, or do you think we beat it to death so far? Because I think we had several presentations. It's been discussed at many meetings, and
I think,
we could just go to the public hearing. We don't need a.
yeah, I think we can just have our public hearing.
Okay.
And I just want to say this is phenomenal, this
But yeah,
table.
it took a lot of work.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we're getting a thumbs up from our
on
planning
it.
commission chair.
Yes.
Thank you. She's smiling, so that's good. That's a good position to be in.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Moving on to reports of department heads. Town manager.
Just a couple quick things. We had our public hearing on November 28th for the county commissioners, with the county commissioners for the amendment to the county's comprehensive water and sewer plan. Councilmember Worth was there in attendance with myself and Janelle Turner, our program manager, David Nixon, our engineer from Whitman Reckart. So there were a few public comments, concerns. The commissioners had some questions and concerns. So we submitted a letter to them Tuesday, I think, to give feedback on those concerns. So it's anticipated they can vote on it, or they could not vote on it, this coming Tuesday, the 12th. So we're hoping that they're comfortable making that decision. We are also working on updating the website with all of the information on the upgrade to the treatment plant, including the letter that was sent to the commissioners and those concerns and our answers to those concerns. So earlier in the week, I met with the American Red Cross, came in and had a really good meeting with them, information that I did not know that they offer to the public. So I thought at some time, maybe in March, which March is apparently American Red Cross Month. Maybe they could come in and do a presentation to the council and our community. And then tomorrow is the Christmas parade, 6:30, kickoff at the high school.
Exciting. Okay. Any other department heads you want to bring up, Town Manager?
I think Crystal may have something that you're gonna, are you? Yeah.
Good evening. So I just have a few updates. The first is regarding the YMCA corporate membership. It's more of a discussion. I know that Council Vice President Johnson had brought this up as something to certainly look into, especially with the new YMCA in town. And this is actually something employees have been inquiring about for the last several years as an option. So what I put together is just, it's like my draft memo. So if in the future, then I already have most of it already in here together. But what I wanted to at least share with you is a guesstimate, calculated estimate cost. The corporate membership, which I have included along with the memo, talks about the different levels that YMCA would offer agencies. And so with that, I just did a rough calculation based on the number of full-time, employees, what the individual rate would be, what the family rate would be, just to kind of get an idea of what council is looking at, possibly pursuing, if interested, as a benefit for our employees. Some of the action items, and I wasn't going to read through everything, but one of the few things that I wanted to at least point out is as far as action items. So just to discuss, provide council with initial cost estimates and what the level of membership options are for further guidance and consideration. And topics to consider if, this benefit is approved. First is, which level of membership is the council interested or, would like to consider. And will the membership plan, be available to employees or employees and their immediate family members? So also, will this benefit be available only to classified full-time employees or all employees, including part-time and unclassified positions? So those were just some of the questions that I had in my head as I was preparing all this. Also, another thing to consider is there's possible funding options to help reduce employer cost. For example, we've consistently over the last several years been receiving health surplus from health insurance, if we have low claims, that sort of thing. We also have wellness dollars that we get every year to use for whether it's health and wellness rewards, paying for gym memberships, or what I've been using the last several years is like open enrollment items, swag, giveaway, raffle items, and what they give us is based on how many employees we have, and at that rate. So I could roughly say it's been over about $500 that is accessible to us every year. So that can certainly go towards the employer cost as well. And then the other thing that I did not ask, but it's certainly something that could also help with cost, is if YMCA will consider a first responder discount. The cost estimates I have are pretty much what the max is with no, any other funding assistance. But those were just some things to consider while you're reviewing the documents that I have before you. And then obviously, once we go from there, whatever council wishes to do, then we can move on to the next steps. But I didn't know if you had any questions at all about what I know you just got it, so you can certainly ask questions later.
If I can start just by making a couple comments as one of the sponsors for this. I have been part of so many organizations where we did not have this and then introduced it, and so I can personally speak to the impact that is, all around in academia, but if you've been in an organization that has made the transition, and you can speak to the reductions in doctor's visits, sick leave utilization, all the different things, and I think the YMCA's first page here, the one suggestion I would have for Crystal and our town manager, our HR lead and town manager, would be to add to the implementation steps that we should put together some sort of matrix where we can track, I don't know what kind of doctor visit information we can get from our healthcare provider without violating HIPAA, but I know we can pull sick day data, injuries, workman's comp claims, overall healthcare costs, hospital admissions, any of that, come up with a matrix so that we can have some baseline data for maybe the current year, calendar year, the immediate past, and then be in a position that if we do introduce one of these options, that we can actually show to the community and to one another that here's the reduction that we saw. I would be willing to bet cash money that we would get, because we got how much last year for our rebate from our healthcare provider, roughly? I mean, it's a significant amount of money. And I would be willing to bet that the difference, so I'm going to,
I have a terrible memory.
you don't have to give that number. I apologize for putting you on the spot. But I want it to be reflected in the minutes that I said this, because I want to be accountable. I am willing to bet that if we can get our provider to tell us when we get our next rebate, and we have introduced this, let's just say, that the change in the positive direction of that amount will exceed the amount that we spend on this. I'm willing to bet that.
And I can honestly tell you, I do get a report, a mid-year review, no names, just information as far as what was has a list of all the prescription drugs, what was the frequency or the level or how many, so we can see what areas we need to focus on. I also get whether it's employee or spouse or dependent, what the level of what was the high claim costs for this time period. So I do get a lot of very valuable information, and it is certainly something that I did reach out to our provider, our carrier, excuse me, and I did ask them, if we were to incorporate or implement this, what is it that, our carrier, is there anything that I need to take into consideration, or if there was anything that they would do. They said really what it does is it would just help your premiums.
Absolutely.
To lower claim costs, hopefully increase wellness awareness, that sort of
And it helps with retention. There's so many organizations that do this.
Benefit.
I know our council president is very passionate about what we do to differentiate ourselves from other municipalities. I think our employees need this. I think our families do. So I would just challenge this council to, in a perfect world, if we had the ability to pay for one of these options, and I think we do need more time to chew on this, so that's my suggestion tonight. But if we have the option to do it before the next fiscal year, great, if we can find the money. But if not, the second the next fiscal year starts, that we've allocated whatever that amount is.
That was going to be my other question as well, is, what is the council looking, if this is something you wish to pursue effective, July 1 for the new fiscal year, or are you looking to do it sooner? You were mentioning something and it just left me. Let me see if I have it down here.
This is super thorough, so I would love some time to read it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, just review. It left my brain, but don't be too critical on some of the things that are in here. One of the things I had already crossed out is not having an MOU agreement, but just a contract, with the gym.
And I'm hoping that some of this stuff in here doesn't need to be consecutive in terms of implementation. So while we're chewing on this and thinking about budget considerations, and I'd like to challenge our town manager and you and our finance manager to huddle to discuss, are there options in the current fiscal year to fund this? And if not, where can that go next year? And just to be prepared for that. But in the meantime, the MOUs, things like this, all of that, I believe, could be written up and drafted concurrently so that when we are ready to pull the trigger, we're not starting from scratch. So, but you've done an excellent job putting this together. I thank you for that. I think our
Thank you.
employees
No,
deserve this.
not a problem. And certainly, if you have any questions while you're reviewing it, please reach out to me, and I'll do my best to answer.
If anything else?
I do. It's not as thorough, but I do have, in case you need, if you have questions. So I know that Councilmember Worth did reach out, or at least explained to me that he knew of someone that would be able to provide any sort of health wellness coaching. I think during that time, there, with the loss of one of our officers, there's always that need to provide employees with employee assistance program services, which we do have through our health insurance. So that is only available to our participating employees and their families. The police department, typically, they have services that they're able to reach out to. I know that during that time, there was actually local agencies that reached out and offered free services to our officers during that time. However, I wanted to certainly follow up with what Councilmember Worth had offered, and I spoke with one of our local certified health wellness coach and integrative health practitioner, Denise Sultanfuss. Did I pronounce your last name? Okay, good. Just making sure. Like I did explain to her that this is really just a department head update, just a discussion, but she did want to at least attend, as it is a public meeting, to offer up any questions you may have. But what this benefit would allow is almost allowing health and wellness coaching to our employees, and it's not like therapy, but it's a way of, and she can probably explain it a lot better. But one of the things that I wanted to at least explain to you as far as cost goes, because it's not in the budget. But currently, her rates are $90 a session. It was very difficult for me to come up with a cost if we are using, all of our employees or just the ones that are not under our health insurance. But one of the things that I just found out recently, and she would be able to elaborate a little bit more, I spoke to her just a few days ago, that she is actually in the process of participating with healthcare providers. So if it could take 6 months, a year, 2 years, I'm not sure how long it could take, but if that were the case, if she ever becomes a participant with our health insurance carrier, Cigna, then it would be covered under health insurance. But for now, if it's something that the council is looking to offer to employees as a resource, like I said, it's $90 a session per employee. So
There's something we can get in writing. I mean, I guess for me, if our benefits manager can't articulate it, then, and I'm not saying that's a criticism, maybe it's hard to articulate.
Yes,
I would just love something in writing.
I didn't have a chance. I wanted to at least talk about it, but I didn't have a chance to put everything together. But I do have her portfolio, I should say. And it's something that, like I said, she would be able to explain, but I will be able to explain better once I put everything together into like the same format as what I was trying to do with the YMCA memo.
You probably are already, did you want to go?
Go ahead.
You probably are already doing this, but it's Sultanfuss.
Yeah.
Ms. Sultanfuss, I see you here in the room tonight. Thank you for joining us and being willing to help in an area that I think is just as important as a possible fitness package. I would imagine that based on your experience, you're in a position to take a sample size organization and say, okay, so if you have a staff of 50, and I typically see a 5 to 10% penetration rate of the staff for need, and with an average number of annual visits of X, that we could get a sort of rough order of magnitude of if none of our health insurance providers would participate and we needed to pay cash, this is our range, our maximum exposure for this potentially that we could project. I think that'd be very helpful, combined with anything else that you have.
My gut reaction here, and again, I would love to see me in writing, is that very different from the YMCA, which is a community partner of ours. I don't want to see us choosing a provider for a benefit. And so would rather want to see us provide a benefit, and then if people elect you as a provider or someone else as a provider, I'm not in favor of the town choosing who might provide any sort of health service to our staff.
And that was where I was hesitant with some of the information as far as like having a memo and a recommendation, because I really wanted more council guidance on which direction, as far as offering services, EAP services, because there's such a large variety of EAP services, and to have a cost estimate is almost impossible, because every provider would charge differently. So I didn't know if what you might be looking at is maybe coming up with a percentage of cost share, if it's something where we're trying to fall in line with what we normally have with our health insurance plan, the 85/15, or if you're looking at something a little different. I needed a little bit more guidance on what services.
I need to understand what it is.
So
Something in writing would be awesome. I don't want,
right.
appreciate you being here, don't want a parade of every wellness provider in town that thinks they should be a town benefit. So let's react to something real.
So I almost think, and based on your feedback, Council President, is developing kind of a request for proposals almost, where we establish the criteria. This is kind of the basic portfolio of stuff, and then have potential folks that do this provide feedback. And then it gives us an idea of if we were to allow our employees to do this at cost, and they have these 15, 20 providers to go through, we at least have an idea of what it could potentially cost us if we do it that way or others. But I think we start there with some sort of foundation.
Well, if you do an RFP though, I think so the EAP programs, it covers, therapy, like alcohol, so it's like what providers.
Do we have this like litany of employees that aren't on our health plan that wish they could call EAP?
So we have 26 participating employees out of 41. So the remaining.
Have they come to you and said, I need help, but I don't get our health insurance? And the health insurance, I would venture a guess that the health insurance they do have
So
gives them access to an EAP.
And nobody has.
This feels
really
like a solution in one of a problem to me.
Well, the thing is that this was presented to me as an avenue to look into if this is something
I'm not blaming
council.
you. I
Yeah,
just
no,
don't know what we're talking about.
and I get it, and I'm certainly happy to look into anything that council would like to get more research on or more information on. And that's where I kind of need a little bit more guidance on what type of service. Is it grievance counseling, or is it, because I do understand that there is that need for EAP services. I don't know if other employees, if their health insurance that is not part of the town's, if their insurance company offers their own EAP services. So
maybe we need to survey that, right?
Yes.
You've elected not to take town insurance. These are the kinds of things we'd love to know if you have.
right.
So you've taken your spouse's insurance or some other insurance. Does it have these 8 things that we think are important?
Yeah, we can talk
do
to
that.
we can talk to staff.
Yep.
Might be good during open enrollment. You either have, like, at my job, I have to either enroll or answer a bunch of questions. Oh, I didn't. And so, like, there's nobody that gets to get away with filling out nothing.
Oh, that'll be nice.
And so maybe that's what you do. It's you
Right.
either are enrolling or you're telling us what you have from somewhere else.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I just have a question, since you mentioned Councilman Worth had sort of started. Do you have any comments, like kind of what you're thinking, what you're hoping we achieve?
I just wanted to make sure that, if something, a particular event came up and they had a
Magic
need,
event.
that
We have options.
someone, that they would have options, they wouldn't feel like they had to shell out a lot of money to do it, the town would help them out.
And could we work
So-
with Midshore Community Health on that or
Right.
other quasi-governmental? I guess is a little bit of my question. The state's mental health consortium that's rolling out maybe end of this month, maybe January. I believe Midshore Community Health has applied to be a hub for that. And then I don't know who the spokes are in terms of providers, but maybe we ultimately tap into that. Like there are quasi-governmental things happening that might be low or no cost to us. And I believe some of the plan for that is if there's like a crisis event, that then we can immediately act on getting support.
Okay. Definitely appreciate the guidance on this. So that was my main update.
Thank you for your work on it.
Not a problem. But that was all I had. And like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know. So,
Any other department heads? Does the chief want to come up or good? Up to you. Do I want to come up?
I think there was some questions earlier regarding certain programs within the Centreville Police Department. I think Councilman Keel had mentioned earlier. I don't know if he has questions for the police department.
No, well, you answered the question. It's the K-9. And since I've heard that we don't have one locally anymore, it's just what you were going to do to.
So the public is aware.
Implement it.
So the public is aware of the conversation. There was some chatter in the community about not having a narcotics and/or bomb type detection K-9 within our community. The Centreville Police Department's position on that is that we are currently looking into providing a narcotics/tracking K-9 to our program once again, and we're hoping within the next few months that we'll have that up and running. And that the reason for the delay in months is because there is training involved, not only with the K-9 itself, but the officers as well. And the certifications take quite a bit of time to do, up to 2 months or more, depending on where we go and who's available. So we are looking into reestablishing a narcotics K-9 in our community within the town of Centreville and can be utilized by allied agencies and the community alike. So that is our plan, and that is what we're working towards. We've already started the ball rolling with that.
You already have an officer that wants to do it.
We have a few candidates that have shown interest. We're narrowing our pool down. We're looking at many options. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, along with vehicle selection, equipment that goes along with the K-9, the K-9 officer. So we have a little bit of a selection program that we have to put the officers through, the ones that are interested. So we're hoping to narrow that selection down here shortly.
Right, thank you.
So anything else?
No. Thank you.
I would like to say something that's not on topic. You have my quarterly, or I'm sorry, my monthly review of activities. One thing that's not on here, and I'd like to bring to the council's attention and the community as well, and it's a little bit of a shout out. In the area of the Queen Anne County High School on Railroad Avenue, which is Route 304, there's been a little bit of an issue with the speed limit signs in that area. They were removed by the state highway almost about a year ago. Why, we're not really truly understanding. But they removed the electronic sign that was across from the high school, along with a static sign that indicated a 40-mile-an-hour zone. As of recently, those signs have been replaced by the State Highway Administration with the help of Sheriff Gary Hoffman. We've reached out through the town, our DPW, myself, we've sent many communications to SHA to no avail. Sheriff had reached out to a couple of his cohorts out there as well. He wasn't getting any responses, so ultimately, between all the agencies, it was sent up to the administration at SHA. We finally got a response, and we finally got action on it. So as of, I think, this past week, we now have static signs and an electronic sign that works in that area of the high school. So just to make everybody aware of that, if they haven't noticed it already.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think our town attorney.
Attorney?
Yeah, I sent about lunchtime today a memo regarding sidewalks. You probably haven't had a chance to look at it and spend a lot of time with it, but I just wanted to let you know that that's out there. There's a couple questions that I need some feedback on in order to move it to the next step to draft an ordinance.
I saw it, but did not have a chance to read it, so would appreciate some time on that. But thank you for getting that to us, and I know we've received some emails from the community about sidewalks, and so we're working on it. Thank you. All right, we will, no other, we're good? Okay, second citizens forum. Are there any citizens who wish to address the council? Jamie, anything? Okay, nobody has any citizens comments. All right, always a bummer. All right, council roundtable, Councilperson Keel.
I have a couple things. The patches going down, they're repairing the potholes through town. They're doing an excellent job on that. Hopefully they get them all done before the winter, so we don't have that problem with the big potholes coming. And my second thing is, I don't know if it's been addressed, the water tower by Delmarva Power. Yes, it's green. So I think we need to get something done of that. Maybe, well, of course we can't do it now, it's wintertime, but maybe in the next budget or whatever to get somebody to get it cleaned up. Or I even understand that there's paint now that will prevent that from happening. So I don't know if we have to get it repainted. That's not going to be cheap, or we can just get it cleaned this time and hopefully paint it in the future. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, I know that's come up a couple times with residents in Symphony Village particularly. All right.
All I have.
Bouncing around here in order. Councilperson Beecham.
Nothing to say, no.
Okay. Councilperson Ware.
The county commissioners having an open house next Tuesday from noon to 2. It'd be a good idea if we showed the flag. So,
Okay.
all right.
All right.
Especially with the impending decision on our
Yes.
water and sewer plan amendment. Yeah.
Okay. Council Vice President Johnson.
Just one quick update on the community patrol on which the chief and I have been collaborating, and our town manager. We received the shirts that we had requested through Baycraft out of Rock Hall, and they're just really good. I don't know if you've seen them yet, but I have a box that I'm going to bring to the police department. And then, as I understand it, Fred McNeil, who helped launch this idea, along with some others, I think there's a total of 3 volunteers, have been coordinating with the chief about kind of launching their presence at the Christmas parade tomorrow evening. And we've had concerns were expressed in the past, of course, by county officials about how the crowd is managed, in particular around the new courtyard. And so my understanding is they're going to be positioned there and helping us out to keep the judge happy. And
Awesome.
so we're really excited to have them really be in effect and moving on the trails, et cetera, in 2024. Thanks for your support in that, Chief. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, awesome. And then just the one thing I have is, last week when, for a very brief moment in time, the parade was canceled, maybe an hour of our lives, the parade was canceled. I'm just gonna call it insanity because it was. The insanity from the community that we ruined Christmas, that videos of children expressing their disappointment about no parade, which how you manage your children is one thing, but I told my kids there was going to be no parade, and then you sort of move on. You don't film their disappointment and put it on the internet, at least in my opinion. But really what matters more to me is that you don't call the town staff and treat them like crap, that you don't call the Board of Ed and treat those people poorly, that you don't light up the phones at the high school about a parade. If the only thing good in your life is the Centreville Christmas Parade, then I hope we can find you some more things to focus on.
For personal phones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna pull a council vice president, put mine in do not disturb next time. But to me, it's about how we treat people. And I don't live such a charmed life that the parade being canceled is the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I'm really happy for those of you that do. But just the way that we treat town staff, you can treat the council however you want, I guess. But the way that we treat town staff matters, and the things that you say about town staff on the internet. And I can tell you, one of the loudest mouths on Facebook, I stood right next to him in the grocery store. He said 0 words to my face. And if you wouldn't say it to our face, you don't need to say it on the internet. And so the parade is on, but it's not because you treated us badly. It's not because you had a petition. It's because it's something that was being worked on. And so you catch more flies with honey. You want to send us nasty emails, I can promise you I'm not going to respond to it. But if you send us something kind, I think any one of us or all of us would respond. And so just, town staff works really hard. Town staff wants to have a parade and have awesome things in town. And just, if you want to treat someone badly, my cell number's all over the place. You can just Google my name, you can call and treat me like crap, but don't treat our staff that way. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.